so.
You ready? You ready?
Ready.
All right, everybody's ready. All right, I'll call to order, the Woodman Hills Metropolitan District Special Board Meeting. Wait a minute, this is not a special board meeting. This is a regular board meeting for Thursday, November 3rd, 2022, and we'll fire it up, it looks like 5:40. All right, roll call.
John Martin present.
Neil Erickson present.
Stacy Popovich present.
And Troy Stinson present
Sherry Regan present.
by phone.
Right.
That's 5, that we do have a quorum that is present. All right, item 3, President's welcome and remarks and rules of conduct. We have the normal welcome, but other than that, we have the normal room. Stephanie, thank you for sitting in for Jed. For those that are gonna watch this video later, we appreciate you taking the time to look at it and be involved in the community. Other than that, would somebody like to lead us?
Where he's going to get the flag.
Okay.
If you like.
What's that? I guess that could work. It's a flag.
Well, somebody comes back then.
A little tiny handmade flag.
I didn't want to use a retired flag,
Okay. We'll let you lead us in the
but
pledge of
I
allegiance.
told it.
We're gonna look at you.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there a reason that's at half-mast?
Is there a
When is
reason
it
it's
not?
attached to a pin?
All right. Approval or disapproval of the agenda, item 4.
Agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
Okay. With the change that this is a regular, where's he at? He ain't back. As part of that approval, with the exception that we changed it back, it's a regular board meeting, not a special board meeting. For the record. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 5 will be approval or disapproval of board minutes.
The only correction I had to the approval of the board minutes was on roll call. Neil Erickson was not present last board meeting, but Sherry Regan was.
I have a correction too.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, in the law report, line is struck. What's the attorney report here go? The second sentence, beginning major papers in ongoing arbitration. The next sentence, major doubt will ever go to trial may end in the arbitration. There's no trial involved in this thing at all. It's only an arbitration. So I'm suggesting strike that sentence.
It says that in here. This is not a, this is not a trial or a court, it is an arbitration.
That would be all right.
It says that in there.
Yeah, it's the next sentence. Major doubt that it'll ever go to trial may end in the arbitration. There's no way it's gonna go to trial. The trial's not involved.
So strike that whole last sentence
Just strike
altogether?
that sentence, that's all I'm suggesting. That's my only comment.
not entirely true, because if somebody didn't agree with arbitration, they could sue in district court.
Oh, I mean, that's not, you're correct. They could sue in district court to seek to overturn the arbitration. Which chances are slim
Which could then
enough.
go to trial.
Which,
Just saying.
it's extremely
I'm
difficult
just
to
saying
overturn
that
arbitration.
the possibility is there.
Okay. Anyway.
But we'll strike that last sentence
Okay.
Not me.
on that. Okay, so with those two changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the board minutes with those changes.
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
second.
Okay, second by Sherry. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, item 6 will be attorney's report. Floor is yours.
We have an arbitration starting next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with paintbrush hills over an intergovernmental agreement, or IGA. There's been a lot of activity on it, a lot of papers back and forth, and it goes to trial next Tuesday.
It's not a trial.
Arbitration.
What did I say, trial? Gotcha. Goes to arbitration. That's the major thing we've been working on. I can't think of the others right now.
Service plan.
Service plan is sitting. We've drafted months ago the bulk of the language, but there's other inputs that we need from you all before it can be completed.
Troy, I can cover that in executive session because it relates to some of the executive session items.
Okay.
It's just been, so much has been occupied with paintbrush, I'm just not coming up with anything else. There have been, but I can't tell you right now.
We'll cover the Circle K and those.
Yeah, I have not worked on those.
negotiations.
Okay.
So, trying to think what else was on the attorney's agenda that was still sitting open. Because that's been the bulk of it.
That's been the bulk of it.
Did the Meridian stuff go to him?
It's not ready
Okay.
for legal review.
Carter and I are on the phone every day multiple times.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Occasionally I harass Wally.
That's also a fact.
Well, my apologies for not bringing more of a report.
What about
That's all right. That's, what's that?
motorcycles?
Oh, I could go on for that for a long time.
Sorry, it's my bad, but
I saw that in there, but I think that was already handled
Yes.
last.
We had, as an example, we had 6 briefs in that case that we've done already
Which one?
in paintbrush.
Oh, yeah. What's the motorcycle thing? Is that the trail?
He was writing on Falcon Park.
Oh, that one, that, you're talking about me riding
That's
motorcycles.
been taken care of.
Okay.
In a good way.
Yes. Yeah.
Mother got the kids to go out there and do the work, and taught them some, gave them
Do some manual labor.
and respect for other people's property, and yeah, I thought it was a great result.
Okay, item 7, approval or disapproval of financials.
All right, starting out with Parks and Rec, profit and loss budget performance for September 2022. Total income for Parks and Rec last month, or in September, was $233,771 on a budget of $227,716. So exceeded budget on the revenue side. Total expense came in at $183,693, sorry. on a budget of $216,169. So total net income was $50,078 on a budget of $11,547. So both exceeded revenue, came in under on the expense side, so definitely good trajectory on that side. Year to date, net ordinary income has been $440,024 on a budget of $103,926. So continue to exceed our monthly net income goals, which is very good, very positive for us in terms of capital development money for Parks and Rec for subsequent years. Any questions about Parks and Rec?
And we have 2 months left.
Yep. So we far exceeded our goals from a net income perspective for the year.
I think we need to make it clear though as well as that it's not for profit. This is all revenue that goes back into the community.
Correct.
And so it needs to be understood that way, because a lot of folks that are hearing this online,
Yep.
will assume that
Yep.
maybe we're running
So
property side.
to that point, for those that are listening later on, essentially what will happen is after these funds are audited, so they're considered unaudited funds until they're audited. Once they're audited, they then become funds that can be appropriated for Parks and Rec specifically, cannot be used for any of our other enterprises. It goes strictly back to Parks and Rec to help fund other projects that we have going on, like we've done the turf field recently, we've done basketball courts, so all of those programs are all benefited from net income like we just went over. Any questions? Okay, moving on. For the water enterprise, for September 2022 month end, total income came in at $447,858 on a budget of $351,636. Well exceeded our goals there, both residential water use. We've talked about this a lot throughout the year. Obviously, we're still in our peak water use. We will see that come down next month. But this is really to catch us up for the money that revenue we lost out on in the beginning of the year when we're not using as much water. You will also see the water acquisition fees, as well as your tap fees and system development charges, well over our budget. So a lot of that is still continuing to see construction both in the residential and commercial space. Going to expenses. Total expenses for the month were $316,688 on a budget of $227,949. So came in over budget on the revenue side, over budget on the expense side, but net income still came in positive at $131,169 versus a budget of $123,686. I'm sure there'll be questions about that, but just to kind of let the board and the public understand, we continue to see prices on goods and services that are required to run the district, like chemicals and testing. They are continuing to go up month over month. There's no way for us to reduce that cost. These are things that we have to buy, we have to purchase, and it's an unfortunate event. But we are in a situation where we can offset that with some of this additional income that we're seeing from the development that we continue to have in the district. Any questions about water?
I have one.
Okay.
Shoot, have we gotten any indication from Cherokee
No.
on the wheel rate? Are they?
I knew we were going
the
to.
same?
So this year for 2022, they didn't tell us until what, January or February? It was January or February of this year, so I expect we won't know until January or February next year. However, when JD and I sat down in the budget, We looked at where are we currently budgeted this year, what do we need to maybe forecast for next year? And we built in that forecast. So we are budgeted a little higher for next year, assuming that that wheel rate's gonna come in larger than anticipated.
Do they have a specific day or something?
There's nothing in the contract that says they have to tell us by a certain time.
No, that wheel rate stayed the same forever, till what, 2 years ago?
Then year over year it's been changing.
I just wanna be careful with that, because there's a point there where I think they're trying to, because that's a perpetual deal, they're actually getting billed for some of the, it's not just the wheel rate, it's.
Yeah. And that's something that JD brought up when we were going over the budget. We were running the math and looking at what is treated water really worth? And what are we paying? And as of now, and even in FY '23, correct me if I'm wrong, JD, we are still budgeted under what current market value is. So the deal is still good for us, for now, but we are looking at that and anticipating over the years, it's gonna start to swing the other way.
Are we starting to work on a, when we see stuff like that, we're starting to work on a plan to counter that? I mean, that's water in our water portfolio, it's never going away. Because the cost to wheel it using Cherokee's system is going up. So is there a way for us to wheel it another way?
Not at this time, we have to look at some other options, and probably develop an engineering firm to make that.
Because there's gonna come a point where it's not beneficial to the district anymore to use them wheeling it for us. It's more beneficial for us to build our own infrastructure. I just wanna make sure, it just looks like it's starting to swing that way. I wanna make sure that we're way ahead on that.
Any other questions on water? No? Okay. Moving on to wastewater, so for the month end, September 2022, total income came in at $345,696 on a budget of $342,267. Expenses came in at $213,551 on a budget of $247,087. So, again, similar situation, was able to exceed revenue goals, did come in higher on expenses, but still net income was positive. $132,145 on a budget of $95,180. Any questions for wastewater?
Are we still seeing, still skyrocketing, or is it starting to, chemicals and things?
It's worse, they're going up.
The budget put together for next year, is it compensating the worst?
I mean, we put in a lot of fluff based on what we've seen trend wise, and we're starting to think that it may not be enough, based on how things are going.
Try to build in a little extra, but just the last couple price hikes, or get 2 or 3 beginning next year and we're in trouble.
Yeah. If we don't see any more for the next, 3 to 4 months, if we don't see any more increases or surcharges, our budget for next year should be pretty spot on. But if we see any more increases or additional over that time frame, we're gonna probably have to redo the budget at some point, the first part of next year. For those, so, and it's specific line items, right? So it'd be like testing, sludge hauling, chemicals, what else? Utilities. All of the, anything that has a variable cost to it, we're watching it, but just like you you guys see in your own personal and professional lives, I mean, it's, take a dartboard, throw it out there, that's kind of how it is right now.
How many price hikes have we done this year on just chemicals?
Oh, I couldn't even.
I think it's chlorine.
So chlorine was about 4 times already.
Yeah.
Plus your surcharge.
Surcharge on hot products, I think, it's been twice, 3 times.
But we've been able to absorb it this year, we've been pretty good, the budget was pretty good this year, as far as, contemplating that. My worry is,
Next year.
you know, with budget increase and stuff that we're proposing already for next year, I don't, at least me personally, I don't wanna have to raise rates at the start of the year any more than we have to account for it. And it may be one of those, I don't know how you guys feel about it, it may be one of those where this may be one of those exception years where we just go in with what we got, and then if we have to amend, we amend. I don't think any of the banks or creditors are gonna hold us to too high of a count or ding us on it.
Right.
For trying to do right by the community as opposed to lead way too far ahead.
And that's what I
Costing
would,
the community up front.
I would advise to the board as well as at least get through the first quarter of next year and reevaluate at that point and say, okay, what are the projections hold for the next quarter? And really, that's the way I'm gonna look at it, is quarter by quarter next year, to make sure that the budget stays in line, so that we don't have some of the issues that we had this year. Try to get out in front of it.
Because I think they just announced what they did, another 3/4% increase yesterday.
With no end in sight.
And then they're anticipating doing up to possibly a quarter each month or quarter is what he said. Thought he said he led with both, but so I don't really know which one they are
No.
leaning towards. So it could be a monthly incremental increase.
Right.
I mean,
They only meet quarterly, don't they?
yeah, but the Fed can actually do a incremental increase on a monthly basis, I think, 30-day basis.
They can do it every 30 days, but we do it every quarter, you know, they're the November raise again, so one more time before the end of the year. Then it'll be probably another 3/4 point, you know, based on what the Fed chooses to do, and how much that impacts on our supply lines. You know,
Kind of hoping as they raise the interest rate, we start to see some collapse in pricing, because the building will slow down. We're already seeing the housing prices have dropped up to 13% in some parts of just our city.
Yeah, it depends on what happens nationwide, but what I would say or suggest is like a hard line, supply lines, ones of the biggest ones here, is take a trend line report on an Excel spreadsheet on the back end. Run your trend line for 12 months, right? Move back into last year and just run it on a rolling, and then see where that trend kicks into.
Right.
And see what our ramp up is, and see how it correlates with inflation.
So that's how I did the FY23 budget.
Yes.
I used that the exact same methodology, and then I took into consideration what the Fed has said they're going to do, to increase it marginally based off of that as well. So I feel pretty confident that we've done our homework. The problem is, these guys know, I mean, we don't get told by the companies until these guys have already put an order in, and we get an invoice, and they're like, okay, we just put this order in 2 months ago, the exact same order, it's now an additional $900.
And we don't have a back end supplier from other sides, multi-sources on this, so
No, we're
Some of
actually
the-
losing suppliers, right? There's
they're closing down.
closing down and shrinking up,
No,
combining.
at least on the wastewater side, so one of the CapEx projects I put in, actually will save money on 2 other line items, and it's gonna help at some time in future expansion, so. But I think on my side it'll be all right.
Yeah. I think the testing is probably the thing that in sludge hauling, I'm worried about, right? For you?
But sludge hauling I can control
Right.
with the CapEx project.
Tell them we only want gas trucks, no more diesel trucks right now.
Well, if they run out of diesel, they're gonna have to find something.
Right.
I feel like,
Natural gas.
I feel like the budget that the budget committee has reviewed has gone through every line. Is there an alternative? Can we do it less often? Or can we buy more in bulk and order less?
And you guys have done that already.
And they did the trend and everything. This budget held in a year that we didn't know what was gonna happen. When we were looking at this budget last year, we didn't know that inflation was gonna go up 15%, 20%, and it's holding.
Right.
It's not gonna hold forever. But I think with the built-in that you guys did the legwork on for the budget, that the board all has, right?
Yes.
That the board all has, it's built in, where last year it wasn't built in because we didn't know. So I think it will hold.
Last year went on a lot of unknowns, and we made the decision not to reach rates at all.
And that's the only reason I asked. That's the only reason I asked is because we got the budget, the proposed draft budget last month. And a lot has changed already in a month's time frame. And so that was my concern was.
Like I said, I think based on the discussion, ongoing discussions the directors and I keep having, we feel fairly confident on those items, but I reserve the right to say it's out of our control.
Let's just make sure that as we go into this new year,
Yeah.
with the unprecedented things going on, that, you know, we rarely call special meetings or anything like that, but if there is something that needs to be addressed like that, let's make sure we stay out in front going into this first quarter.
Right.
Because we could really get hammered if
Also-
things go the wrong way here
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
See, we can look at some projects, I'm gonna lining up this year, just kind of put your guys' minds on it, as far as looking for things that we can protect their fixed costs. You know, as an example, like solar electricity, that we can offset some of those increases for variables. I don't know if solar fits for our organization, but things like that, you know, that we can go through and recycle and use. I'm not sure what else we've got as far as options concerned, but let's take a look and see what we've got for renewables. It might boil down to, you know, Wally's gonna start making biodiesel at home.
He's gonna do his own.
You might have to run that pump truck.
Well, that's the reason I said, because, you know, he's got the newest story, so. He's got animals after hours.
Right?
I saw him out there.
Just have them leave the tub to grease up.
Wally's been cruising around the neighborhood, so.
That's the only reason I bring it up, I just don't want us to get caught short.
And neither do we. I mean, we literally have conversations about this probably every single week, about what we're seeing, is this gonna be the new trend line? How does it compare to what we already budgeted for next year? So we are acutely aware of trying to get this right.
The budget looked good, I looked through it, it looks good, it just,
It's tiny.
after yesterday and this last month, I was like, going back looking over it again, I was like, no, that's gonna hold.
It's a lot.
Well, what's happening?
You use both right hands.
Did you? And your feet?
Yeah.
Count all that up?
Yeah.
Mississippi.
So, just to finish up.
Yeah, sorry.
For the end of September 2022, total district income came in at $1,027,347 on a budget of $921,621. Total expense came in at $714,216 on a budget of $691,206. So total income exceeded goal, $313,130 on a budget of $230,414. So year-to-date, net income has been $4,041,710 on a year-to-date budget of $2,073,730. Keep in mind, our annual budget is only $2,764,974, so we've already exceeded the annual budget. Net income, again, goes back to the same conversation we had with Parks and Rec. All of that money, after being audited next year, will go back into our capital expenditure funds for each of the enterprises. Any questions about overall district finances for the month of September?
Yeah, it's great. I think we should state that every time at every meeting, because I don't think homeowners understand always that this is not the project.
We're not just sitting on a pile of cash.
No corporate bonuses running around.
No, because that RO expansion and everything, price tag just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes, it does. All right, that's all I had. Thanks, board.
Well, I mean, we're still I'm sure we're gonna talk about it when we get to executive session.
Yes.
Okay.
But we haven't heard anything from EPA, have we?
That's what I was asking.
Huh?
What do you want to take this
All
on?
right.
Good job, Bob.
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly financials, September financials.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on financials? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to item 8, and that will be did we decide on what we're calling you?
Well, this is an update on where we're at for our search.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then we'll go into the part.
And then we'll go into that.
Okay. So I'll lead off first, because I don't think the public's aware yet. But our Park and Rec Director, Jed Sims, has left, taking a higher paying job elsewhere. So we are in search mode for a new Park and Rec Director. His two managers are holding down the fort, in the meantime, acting in his stead. So, if you have any complaints, please reach out to them.
Or don't.
Go
So
ahead.
we wanted to provide the board an update of where we're at for candidate search. So through Indeed, we actually got quite a few candidates, and through our own social media. So we had a total of 19 candidates apply for the open position. The rec has been closed on Indeed, so we're not taking any more applications at this point because we have started to go through those. So the directors and myself sat down and went through the resumes and started to narrow down what we think would be a good fit, not only for the leadership team of the district, but also for what we know the Parks and Rec Department needs. We also had Stephanie, the Assistant Director of Parks and Rec, help us with that, to help us narrow down. And we are working through, the three of us, so JD, Wally, and I, are doing interviews. This week, we've done 2 so far. We'll have another one actually tomorrow. So we have a total of 5 candidates that we are looking at that could potentially move on to the next and final round, which would be the Board of Directors. So the expectation is that sometime next week, we would be able to give the board that update so that you could then schedule your own interview and select the next Parks and Rec Director.
Will we get all 5 resumes ahead of time?
Ideally, you will get the ones that we have screened, that we have interviewed, and that we think would be a better fit for the district. So we want to narrow that 5 down to at least 3. If we can narrow it down to even 2, we would like to be able to do that for you guys. So we're trying to do the legwork for you, for the board. If the board would like to see all 5 candidate resumes, gladly do that. We can even give you our notes from the interviews. Just let us know what you would like to see.
2 or 3 is fine.
Okay.
I feel like after filling your position, I'm pretty good on interviewing.
It's not bad, that was fun.
What do you think? 2 or 3 good?
Yeah.
Sherry, you good? 2 or 3?
I am. 2 or 3 is good.
And send us your notes though as well, I'd like to see what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because we don't know what you guys are looking for.
The qualification may be somebody we can push around, somebody that listens to everything we tell them to do.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
If I see our new Park and Rec Director out there freaking.
Those are the questions we ask.
We don't have a problem.
Do you like to buy lunch for your peers?
All right, the top 5 questions.
Good.
in there. That's it.
Is that it?
Any questions about that process?
I mean, the prospect's good.
Yeah, yeah. So, unfortunately, JD was dealing with an issue I'm sure he'll bring up. So Wally and I were the only ones that were able to do the 2 interviews that we've done so far, and they were actually very good. So I think all of our candidates that we've gotten down to that 5 very well-rounded, very good resumes, specific Parks and Rec experience. Some of them even have bachelor's degrees in recreation, certifications kind of all over the place as well. So I think you're getting a really good mix of people that have the right kind of experience that I think the board will want to see.
Internal applicants at all?
Yes, so your very own Stephanie Valls is also one of those candidates.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure about that.
It's a good thing she doesn't have to interview with you.
We'll know here in about 2 minutes.
Be easy, John. I told her she was gonna be fine. She was already nervous.
I told her she was gonna be fine.
Yeah.
She's actually in the worst position of any of them, because she's like on a permanent audition right now.
Right? I feel like it.
You guys are not helping. I
Yeah.
told her to be calm.
You know, this is how Dick Cheney became vice president. He was tasked with finding Bush's vice president and said, "What? How about me?" So Stephanie,
Huh? There you
good
go.
precedent for.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Okay.
Just don't give her a shotgun later.
Thanks for doing the legwork on that.
All right, item 9, discussion on changing monthly billing process. I would love to hear that.
Yet again, me. So, as the board may or may not be aware, for some time, our billing process has not met the guidelines that we have in the bylaws. So let me explain that to you guys and to our residents. In the bylaws, it says specifically that the bill is due on the 25th of every month, with the 26th being an additional day. The 27th is when we are supposed to initiate late fees and start our shut-off calls, okay? What we have been doing is, about 3 months ago, we went to that structure, but prior to that, we were doing late fees at the end of the month, so 30, 28, 29, 30, 31st, whichever kind of day it falls on. And then our past due amount, if you look at your bills, is due on the 15th of the next month. And then we would do our shut-off calls after the 15th. So in essence, we are giving residents almost 45 days to pay their bill. So what that's causing is a lot of accounting issues for us, and it's also hurting our residents, because what's happening is they're not paying until, let's say, that 15th or 16th of the month. So they're racking up a late charge every single month, and it's just continuing to snowball. And we have certain residents that they allow that to continue to grow and grow and grow to a point where it's $500, $600, $700, $800, and they can't make that payment. And so then we have to extend payment arrangements. And it's really causing a lot of issues, not only internally for the district, but also externally for our residents. So the proposal is to get in line with what our bylaws say, but we also want to make a change. So the change would be, the bill would actually be due on the 20th of the month. We would do, the 21st would be your additional day, and we would start our late charges on the 22nd. And then we would do, through the end of the month, we would do our shut-off calls, so that we would then get ready to turn around on the 1st of the next month to start our billing.
Yeah, I know on that. I think if we're gonna change them, the problem I have with our current bill structure is it's on the 25th. And a lot of those folks depend on a monthly check at the end of the month, whether it's from government assistance or some type of, and how many people we had in the last 6 months that have come in saying they can't afford their bill. They're on government assistance or something, and that check comes on the 1st of the month. So if they're holding that bill, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, until they get that check at the end of the month, then they're already incurring a late fee. What are everybody, all the other utilities late fees? Do they kick in, do they have 10-day grace period on their bill? I mean, why do we only have a 1-day grace period on their bill and then we're charging a late fee?
So when you look at other municipalities like us or metro districts, they don't do the same thing we do. They follow the same structure of, you have 15 days to pay your bill, and there is no additional grace period, and you can get your services turned off on the 16th day. So Mountain View Electric runs that way, and so does the other metropolitan districts in this area.
But there's no late fee.
I don't know about the late
Just
fee.
15 days later, shut off.
Yeah, so there is no late fee because they just go straight to shut off.
In residential real estate,
Yeah.
more commonly, there is a 5-day grace period from the due date. And then on the 6th day, the late fee kicks in. You certainly can end up with people who use that every month and wait for the 5 days to pay it. But having a late fee after 1 day, that's the first time I've ever heard that before.
And that's the way it's currently set up in the bylaws,
Oh.
is that you have due on the 25th, you get 26th as an additional day, and the late fees.
Well, it just so happens we're the folks that can change the bylaws.
Right, which is why we're having this discussion.
I'd also take a look, I mean, you run stats on, the 1st and 15th, because the majority of the folks that live in our neighborhood are also military.
Right.
So you're gonna pay days for military, you're gonna pay days for vets, a lot of veterans live here as
It's just
well.
an in-between day, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And I understand the building secretary and I talked about it, and why it's happening, because it does cause a ton of work. I mean, a lot of work. What do you think percentages you're getting late payments in on?
So,
1%?
I gotta preface this, right, because for years, the late fee has not been charged appropriately to the bylaws.
We understand why.
So, there has been more, right, since we've gone back to what the bylaws said, we have assessed more late fees than we normally would. But the amount is nominal when you think about the overall expense that the district has when we're not bringing in this revenue. And it's always this constant catch up where we have to play debt collector in a sense, to try to get our residents to pay.
That's never gonna change.
I understand that.
I think the fear I would have is for the people in our district that are already struggling, and now you've moved the due date 5 days earlier.
They put them in tails.
Well, they're not gonna struggle less by moving up their due date.
They'll just guarantee impact them with the big fee.
Yeah.
It's a very small subset of the population. So when you think about total billing, let's just use water in Parks and Rec, right? Or district proper, right? Don't bring in the other districts that we serve sewer. You have over 3,000 accounts, right? So 90% of those accounts pay via ACH and pay on time. So you're talking about a 10% population gap that don't pay by ACH. Within that 10%, it is less than 2% that don't pay by the actual due date. So it's a very, very, very small subset of the population. And I get it, I understand that I'm the one who directly deals with the residents when they call in. So I am cognizant of the issue, but I'm fearful to make a policy towards a small subset of the population when this policy would have a greater impact on the district as a whole and its ability to run effectively.
No, it's a business for sure. I mean, it's business first as far as it goes, so I agree with you. We're just trying to figure out, minimize the impact on people as a
Or
whole.
send out notice, and for the first month that you move it back to the 20th, you waive all late fees.
So this wouldn't go into effect until January.
Okay. So, start sending out the notices right away.
Correct.
Then I would say, based on what you're looking at as far as the bylaws are concerned, I think Troy's right. If we need to make an adjustment based on bylaws, it'll make the system work better.
Right.
Then let's look at that.
Right.
Because we can move the bylaw.
Right.
To make sure it functions correctly, because, the bylaws were written at a time, it doesn't operate the same way it does today.
Right.
With the ACHs and all that stuff, as far as that goes. And the other thing we're looking at is, we were asking about looking into a roundup fund.
Yep.
So, have you gotten any further on that, or?
No, I haven't got any further on that, but in addition to that, we're also looking at, and we've already confirmed this with our billing software, that if we would like to give like a discounted rate for people that do paperless billing and ACH, we have the ability to apply some sort of a discount. I would recommend that because, again, the more people we can get to pay by ACH, the more people we can get to even just go to paperless billing, it saves the district a lot of money. Right now, to send out our bills every month, it's costing us around $1,800. If I can reduce that cost by half,
Yeah, that's envelopes, right?
that's
Yeah,
envelopes,
stamps.
that's stamps, that's, the stationery, it's very costly for us to do this. So I think if we do those things where we do a potential roundup fund and we do a discounted rate for paperless billing and for ACH, I think we're gonna make residents happy, the majority, right? We're not gonna make them all, but the majority happy. And we will be able to do what we need to do operationally to run the district.
My question would still be, is the 20th the best date, or is the end of the month the best date?
The 20th, the reason why we have to do it that way is that we need time from the time that the bill is due to the time the next bill goes out to do our shut-off process. You can't go 30th, 31st, and then you can't run your shut-offs at the same time that you're doing billing. So you have to have a gap in between.
So why can't you go payment due on the 1st, right? With a 5-day,
Grace period.
grace period, right? Late fee starts on the 15th. And then you get a 5-day, well, I don't know what you call it, 5-day.
The bills don't get generated until the first week of the month. It's always
Normally
billed in
not
arrears.
6, 7, 8, that's when the bill is generated.
Yeah, so you're generating the bills for last month immediately.
Right.
The other bills are prorated out to the 25th, correct? So that the
Nothing's
cutoff-
prorated, so it's
I'm
all
sorry,
billed in the arrears.
The readings made.
So no matter what, even if we put it on the first of the month, if the bills are due, they're still paying the month prior.
Yeah,
Yes.
but your business doesn't close out on the 31st, so then you have to generate all your invoices on the 1st, right?
Right.
And you have to get them out to the public by X amount of time, which mail is gonna vary from the 1st to the 5th, and if it's paid in the post office out here, you may not get it at all.
There was,
There's a good
this
chance.
session of the legislature, there was a lot of activity regarding late fees. It applied to HOAs, but there's a lot of activity, and legislation passed. And that legislation has timelines regarding late fees and when things are due and so forth. It might be something to take a look at to see what the scenario that legislation presents. I believe it only applies to HOAs.
Only
I don't-
HOAs.
Statutory
There's a timeline
guidelines
in there.
for municipalities like ours,
I know that, I'm saying
It's 15
timeline
days.
might be helpful as you are.
we have to
thinking
give a
about what you
minimum
might
of
do.
15 days.
Do we still have to give people the option for paper?
You
Or
mean
can we just
force
say-
them to go paperless?
Can we say the district is trying to go 100% paperless?
I mean,
I'm just throwing that
So
out.
you bring up a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
point, because when I moved into the district 4 years ago, I don't remember getting an option. I've always been paperless and it's always been ACH. When I called Woodman Hills office, when I moved in to set up service, they said, we need your address and we need your checking account information. I wasn't given an option to do it any other way. That was the option.
I don't think I was given an option either.
That was the
We
option.
need your email address so we can
Mhm.
send you a bill. I'm just a question.
yeah, that's a
Is
really
there
good
some
question.
law out there
Yeah.
somewhere saying you have to give people the option?
How hard is it to get the bill out on the 1st in the mail?
It's very difficult. Because there's a back-end process, right? So we have to pull in all the meter reads,
Mhm.
and then any meter that doesn't give us a read, we then have to create work orders for JD and his team to physically go out and try to get a read, so that we can then get the actual consumption for that particular customer so that we can bill. Now, with the new meters, we have seen that list drastically reduce. And so our hope is that as we get all new meters in, we will no longer have that issue where we have to go out in the field and get reads.
Is that because people haven't had time to put their little tin foil freaking barrier up around their meter, or?
No, that's not it.
So, let's do this, what if it was, we're trying to push to an ACH process anyway.
Yeah.
You know, make online, we've got the portal online, and so forth and so on. If you made the bill due on the 1st, right, regardless, with no late charges until the 15th, that gives the ability for anybody to pay from the 1st to the 15th on the bill with no additional charges. You wouldn't get your meter read up on the 1st, you'd have your digital meter reads coming in, right? So ACH would be a huge incentive between the 1st and 5th to do the payments on those.
Right.
For those who are waiting for paper billing, they've got till the 15th to pay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We probably still have a lot of people out there though that, you know, like grow houses that want a paper bill and pay in cash. Do we still have a lot of cash?
Yeah. I still deposit thousands of dollars a month in cash,
Right.
in checks, too.
Maybe through the end of the year, as they start coming in to pay their bill,
Yeah.
highly recommend them switch to ACH and paperless billing.
The problem that we have now is people don't wanna pay, they wanna pay with cash, they don't wanna do anything electronic. They're
Right.
scared to death right now that the banking system will shut down, fraud. They wanna stick with their cash, order cash. We're just in that environment again right now.
Yep.
Can I suggest something? That there are certain bills that I pay with a check in the mail, but I don't get a paper bill for those. In other words, you don't have to send a bill merely because people aren't signed up for ACH. You can still send them an electronic copy and expect them to come in and pay with check or cash after they receive it.
And we do have people that are like that.
Yeah, the new
But as they
applications
come
will
in,
do
try
that.
and get a lot of them, so we don't spend $1,800 on mail.
Yeah, what's costing us more, mailing out bills or processing checks and cash?
We don't get charged for the deposits, so that doesn't really cost us anything outside of time. I would much prefer having ACH, whether it's a ACH that we pull or if it's a direct check, right? So there's companies out there, one of them's Conservice, so you can sign up as a consumer for this company and it will pay all of your bills for you. And they then make a lump sum deposit straight into our bank account. So we have actually 3 different companies that we, actually 4, take back, that we work, that do that for us. So right now our billing is a combination of those direct checks, ACH pool that we do, physical checks, physical cash, and credit cards, either in the office or over the phone. So it is a combination of different payment options that we see.
So is there any reason you can't send out something in the next bill stating that Woodman Hills is trying to go 100% paperless? Please provide an email address for us to send your bill to, and just see if that reduces.
Yeah, we can do that, not for the bill that's going out this week, but the next month, because we've already populated.
You're never gonna get them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that.
No, but if we can go from 1,800
That
to 900.
or even $1,000, you know, anything we can do to cut costs is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it efficient for our residents, but we're also trying to make it efficient for us.
Well, we've also got the credit card transactions actually reducing the fee price too, so it's gone down for what gets charged from consumers for doing that service as well, right?
Right, you pay with a credit card over the phone or in the office, you're paying 2.85% on top of the transaction, whereas if you pay by a direct check or ACH, you're not getting charged at all.
So as far as the bylaws, we probably need to adjust the grace period because one day seems a little ridiculous.
But we gotta have a system that works, so we gotta figure out.
And we gotta figure out
We
what,
don't know a good bill date.
yeah, what is the bill date? Do we want it the 1st? Do we want it the 15th? I don't
So,
know
yeah,
that you're
what-
gonna have any more success on the 20th than you do the 25th because our residents who are paid on the 1st for the 1st and the 15th,
Right.
if they're already late, they're not gonna pay it 5 days later.
But again, it's small
That is
subset.
never
we're
really
talking
late
about.
on a VA check, so.
Can I
So you deal with this every day?
Yes.
We don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying
You
my
know,
proposal.
you know what system works.
Right. To me,
Make a proposed change to the bylaws, present it to us.
and that's
So we
the
can make a
proposed
decision
change
next
that I
meeting.
want to make is what I already pitched is 20th is when the bills are due.
And the first month out for our residents who are adjusting,
We can waive the fees, that's fine.
Will be first of the year.
Yeah.
So
So
you
we
wanna
put
start
out notice
Well-
starting this month saying, hey, effective January 1st, we want to make this change. So we're trying to give people 4 months of warning
it's
that we want to
November.
make this change.
It's November, by the time the
Right, but it's always
bylaws,
built in the arrears. So your
Okay.
December is in January.
right, but we won't even adjust it until
So it'll be
December.
February.
It would be the February bill that it would impact.
Okay.
So we're giving plenty of time for everybody to get on board with this change.
So you're thinking, due on the 15th.
Do on the 20th.
Do on the 20th with a 5-day grace period? Do on the 15th with a 5-day grace period?
If you did it on the 15th, you could do it.
If we do it on the 15th, then a 5-day grace period, it's the same thing as saying the bill's due on the 20th. To
Right.
me, it's no different.
I think it should be the 15th with a 5-day grace period.
That's fine.
The reason why I'm saying that is because you give notice, plus the folks who are getting paid on the 1st and 15th, they've got those options.
The only problem I have with saying this on the 15th is that we can't guarantee that we can get bills out on the 1st. And we have statutorily have to give them 15 days. Hence the reason why I'm saying bills due on the 20th. That gives us the first 5 days of the month to get those bills out. To give us
So-
the 15 days that we are required to give.
So if the bill's on the 20th, it's technically still not due until the 25th, because you'd still be giving a 5-day grace period.
If that's what the board wants to do, to give a
Okay.
5-day grace period, then that's what we would.
Well, the whole idea is.
We definitely need to expand the grace period. 1 day is ridiculous. That's,
Okay.
Which is only one more day than when our bill is currently due.
How about 5 days?
That's what it's.
Because if you do the 20th with a 5-day grace period, the bill is technically due on the 25th. Well, our bill currently is due on the 25th, we get 1 day extra.
Right.
So we're really only changing what day the ACH drafts are coming out.
Right.
By going from the 25th to the 20th, because by adding a 5-day grace period instead of a 1-day grace period, we're only short 1 day.
Maybe your ACH billing is gonna go out on the 20th anyway, right? So-
No, it goes out on the 25th, 26th of the month.
Yeah,
Okay.
so right now, we pay our bill on the 25th. We're moving it back to the 20th, but expanding the grace period to 5 days.
I've manually paid that bill for 25, for 16 years, so.
And really
Push a button.
the main thing
It
that
just
we
comes
want
out.
to accomplish is we want to do away with the past due amount is due on the following 15th of the month. Because that's really what's driving a lot of the issues that we see within the kind of billing and accounting world. So by getting rid of, hey, your bill, your bill's due on a due date. There shouldn't be, oh, you pay your past due 45 days later. That's not how billing is done in any other municipality or utility company.
not how billing's done. For some people, it's how paying the bill is done.
That might be true, but, in this scenario, we're getting rid of that, and we're saying, hey, your bill's due on the 20th, you get a 5-day grace period, it's on the
Former
25th.
President Donald Trump says he is suing.
We then give, we start our late fees on the 26th,
Right,
Which
and
is-
shut-offs would end up
and
on
then
the
shut off would
30th,
be the end of the month.
31st or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I see, let's look at the language and make it fit that way, and probably comfortable with that type of language. It's one and the same, right?
So just based off of our other utilities that we pay as residents, does Mountain View have a 5-day grace period and then
They
they
have
shut you
no
off?
grace period.
Nope.
It is due on the 15th of the month. If you do not pay on the 15th, they will shut you off.
They are the hammer. They will come out, shut off the electricity, light bulbs, what's down in front, give you candles.
Wow,
Okay.
okay.
But, I mean, I don't know, it's, ACH.
Yeah, so is mine, so
It's,
I,
it was ACH, okay.
You pay in check.
Check here.
Yeah, you should set up an ACH, Troy.
Well, I have to stop by the office anyway, so it's drop it in the box.
it's not even an extra step.
Again, this wouldn't go into effect until next year, so you guys have a little bit of time, but I do
Can you
want to
draft it
provide
up?
notice to the residents that this is.
So let's draft it up, send it out to the board between now and the next meeting,
Okay,
with what the current says in the bylaw,
Okay.
what the new piece needs to say, so we can see it in writing.
yeah,
With dates that you're proposing. And then we'll vote on it at the next meeting.
okay. That works.
I like to give plenty of notice.
Will that be, will 30 days be enough?
Yeah, because it's not, it goes into effect until next year.
Till February.
Right, but they're not getting it until their January bill, which
Well,
is a
starting-
December bill,
starting
but it
with
shows up in their
The-
mailbox
The
in
bill that
January.
you're about to get, there is a little snap, like a little box on there that says that we are proposing a new change effective next year. So there is already language that's
Notice?
going out
Okay.
that's saying we're proposing a change. It's not saying it's effective, because obviously the board has to change the bylaws in order for it to be effective. But I went ahead and made a decision to at least put the notice out there that it's going to change.
Okay, cause by the time we meet in December,
Yes.
the November bill will already be out.
Have you got any?
So that means it won't go out in the mail until January to take effect in February.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you got any feedback from anybody? Most folks don't read their bill, they just
No.
look at it, look at the.
The only feedback we've gotten, like I said, 3 months ago, I went back to abide by the bylaws and apply the late fee at the correct time. And we did get calls saying, hey, I usually pay at the end of the month, which is, again, past your due date. I've never had a late fee, why am I getting a late fee? So we're talking to the residents, you know, if they've always paid on time, we're waiving fees, saying, hey, you know, this is the change, the change really wasn't a change, it was just to be in line with what policy already is in our bylaws. So that's the only thing we've heard. We haven't had any complaints. It's just more people are saying, hey, I always pay the end of the month. Well, you're already past due anyways. Because if your bill's due on the 25th and you pay on the 30th, well, you're late.
So this is your fault, your office wasn't following the bylaws.
My predecessors were following the bylaws, not me.
How long you been there?
I want that on the record.
How long you been there?
Not long enough.
All right,
A year.
put the proposed new timeline on paper.
Okay.
And the current, what the current
Yep.
deal says, send it out to the board, get
Okay.
everybody's input. And
Then I'll-
we'll know what we need to put on the bill next
Right.
month ahead of time.
And then I'll draft a resolution for you guys to then vote on.
We'll vote on it, sign it at the December 3rd meeting, which will also
First.
be,
December 1st.
what was the 3rd?
The 3rd is a Saturday. Sherry caught that.
All right.
I said 3rd, but it's on the 1st.
So we're doing the 1st.
Correct.
And has the budget hearing been published?
Yes,
Okay, for the 1st.
yes.
So they have 30 days notice.
They have more than 30 days, yes.
Just making sure.
So technically, if we approve it on the 1st, you could still put it out in your mailing in December.
Yes. And again, it's already out on the bill that you're gonna get this month, is the proposal is on there. That's not obviously set in stone because the board still has to approve the bylaws. So a notice is already going out effective this month.
Okay.
So we will still be giving people plenty of time to understand what the change is.
People have that change. I said it 10 minutes ago.
All right. Are we done with that?
Yep.
I'm done.
Okay, Troy, I need 2-minute break.
Okay.
This next one's normally very long, so I need to.
I hope I don't disappoint.
Jed's gone. All right,
Oh,
we
no.
stand in recess. Recess.
All right, Carter, doing the next one too?
Item 10
I'm off the
will
podium.
be Park and Rec report.
All right, there goes nothing. All right, so for maintenance, Will has kind of stepped up a lot, so he's kind of taken a lot of that off of my plate. They're still doing daily checks, repairs, setups, breakdowns of rentals. We still are offering all of the activities that we normally do, Italian cooking, dancing, painting, all kinds of other cooking classes. Our biggest events that are coming up are the daddy-daughter dance on December 3rd from 5 to 8, as well as the Cookies with Santa on December 10th. We have gotten the ball rolling on ordering all of the stuff for all of those, have the cookies ordered, everything. September revenue was a little higher last month than it was this month. We are slowing down just because of all of the holidays that are coming up, and it's cold outside, we can't do outside activities, so we brought in $15,852.45 in October. Our usage was up to $3,112, and so far, year-to-date, the revenue is up to $195,970.62. So way over what, our budget was for this year. In November so far, in the first couple days, we've almost made $1,500. So there's that. Our pavilion, I finally got an update from them. The finished production should be done the week of the 21st through the 25th, and they said it takes 10 to 14 business days for it to be delivered here. I did reach out to Hammers Construction as well as Saul to give me formal proposals as far as what they would charge to actually build the pavilion onto the slab. The turf, as you guys know, the turf field is done. Wi-Fi, electric lights, all ordered. The Wi-Fi, actually, they did go out, there's pictures on there, but they actually did go out and they put an access point on there. They tested it, it was working really well. They plan on doing 2 more access points on the light poles on either side of the pickleball courts as well. They're tiny little things. I think there's a picture that I sent you compared to a quarter. They'll just need kind of like a waterproof box around them, and all they'll need is an Ethernet cord to basically power them. A quarter?
Is that this last page of the pictures?
Sorry, those pictures, these ones.
It's okay.
I kind of went out of order.
It's all right.
We're used to it, we usually get them from Carter.
Carter usually does them in black
At
and
least
white.
you
Black
get them
and
in
white.
color.
Too.
Color this time.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing them in color.
yeah, we appreciate
Points on
that.
for interview. So we have 2 lights that are out in the, family locker room. I don't know if Jed mentioned that, but eventually we'll wanna get all of the lights switched out. I think there's 50 of them to LED, cause I think the ballasts, that's what it's called, are not working. So our original plan was to get them all done at one time. That was $4,650. We don't have that in our budget. So what we are planning to do is just get those 2 lights fixed, for a couple $100, and then for next year, do the rest of the lights, since it's not in our budget.
It's $193 for Ross Electric to go do the 2 that we need done.
Yeah.
And then January of next year with the new repair and maintenance budget, we will come back through and do the remainder, and that will significantly reduce our cost because these lights, obviously, they're very expensive if you're not using the LED bulbs. So that's our current plan.
We still got an overage funding as far as that goes. I think we went from the budget.
For lights?
Well, it's not classified for lights, it's still classified as general park and rec.
So you don't have to pay a surcharge for them coming out here twice?
Right. The other thing is you're gonna pay the extra electricity between the next 2 months and tap in a budget, I think we can allocate what's the total cost of the project
$4,600.
46.
to do all of the lights, right?
Yeah.
That's $4,600. Well, I think we'll have to talk, because I believe we have that in the budget.
But what line item? Because then we pull it out of repairs and maintenance, and we don't have enough in that line item.
For our,
Yeah. That's the reason why we made the decision to just fix the 2 now, and then we'll be fine
see what you've done
until
with
next
that
year.
budget, though.
I mean, if you and Stacy look at the budget differently,
I think we'd have to look, I think there's an allocation that we can move on another fund for the other account, but it's still qualified for Park and Rec. There's still funding in that account, we'll talk about it offline.
Okay.
And see if it fits and make sure it's right.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
If that's the
let
case, I think-
us know. I mean, we would love
We would love to get them
just
all
get it
done.
done.
I just can't see why, all you're gonna do is Band-Aid it, spend more money on electricity, get charged for electricity to come out. It sounds like government.
Okay.
So we are quasi.
I know, that's the problem. So, okay.
All right, drainage, they're still working on the drainage, like I said, Will kind of took over a lot of the drainage part, so, I know a little, but not as much, as he would have. He was gonna come today, but he is sick, so. He said all they're doing right now is cutting down the trees and removing the trees at Safeway and Bennett Pond. Bennett Pond is mostly complete, but the drainage is flowing properly. So that's good. Soccer goals, we did just order some soccer goals for the turf field. They were delivered last Thursday. We still have yet to put them together, and bring them to the field, but, I mean, we're not in that big of a hurry since soccer,
Right.
it's cold outside. As you know, the roof is complete, the courtyard fences repairs are finalized. The Wi-Fi at Falcon, that's where I was gonna go into the pictures, but we're just waiting for the light poles and cameras to be installed at this point across electric and, yeah.
No, that Wi-Fi, that's not for community use, that's just for running the equipment and security cameras. and things like
Basically
that.
for the cameras is why the Wi-Fi is gonna be out there,
Just want to
yeah.
clarify that that's not for.
No.
Not for people to
Consumer.
use, yeah.
It's not for bench sitting.
Not for-
Yeah.
20 households out there running off of
And unfortunately, the only company that could actually get us what we needed is Stratus IQ.
Yeah.
So we looked at all the other different, internet providers out here, and nobody could do it outside of them. So we were kind of forced to use Stratus IQ. It's more expensive than we would really like to pay, but we had no other option in order to get those security cameras up and functional.
All right, the pool windows, lots of materials are scheduled to be delivered in December. So the install will be Tuesday, December 20th, Wednesday the 21st, and Thursday the 22nd. Hopefully it doesn't take that long, but they did say that, it could take up to 3 days, and depending on the weather as well.
Are you talking about these
Yes.
ones right over here?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's to complete that project.
How come it took so long to get those additional windows? Cause we did the other windows last year.
Yeah.
Did we just forget to order 2 windows?
Good question, I would have to look into that.
Let's make sure they don't put them in upside down.
Yeah, yes, backwards.
Backwards.
Backwards, yeah.
Alright, so the basketball court, there were some working spots, that Craig had noticed. We reached out to Sports Park, they came out, I believe it was yesterday. They told us that we have high humidity in the wood, no idea what that means.
We live in
But they came out with like a tester and it was really high. So they said that we needed to change the temperature up to 73 for some reason. So we're working on that. Once we get it back to normal, they recommend that we put a new sealant on the floor. And they recommend that we do it, for the first couple of years, once a year. And then after that, every 2 years.
Is that part of the warranty?
Yeah. Where's our warranty kicking in?
Sounds like it's above and beyond, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's above and beyond.
Well,
but
how do
will
they
be able to
justify
do-
above and beyond warranty? I mean, the gym's getting used. It's
Yeah.
constantly people in there.
I would have to look at it, and pull it out.
Is there-
But they said that it should be dry in 24 hours, so we would only have to shut down the court for a day.
And I'm sure that they offer that service to seal it.
Oh, yeah.
They do, yes.
And
The
then-
sports court does.
$1.05 a square foot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And they also did tell us if we lock in a multi-year contract, then that,
Of
rate
course it
would
does.
stay the same. For
So
each
the other
year.
question is, that there's a humidity issue as far as that building's concerned. What's the options for a dehumidifier for that particular area in that room?
Gosh,
We'd have to
I don't know, yeah, we'd have to look
get with
into
our
it.
HVAC company.
I'm just
Call
curious.
okay.
Who was the HVAC installer on
I don't know who we used in the past, but
Yeah.
usually we use Thayer Heating and Cooling. He's a local resident here, he does commercial and residential, he's done a lot of work for us in different facilities. So we can contact him and have him come out and give us a quote on what it would look like, but I would venture a bet that's gonna be pretty expensive.
that? For a whole room humidifier?
Yeah.
That's a huge facility area.
Yeah,
I
but
get
the
it,
other
but I
thing-
mean, let's weigh that cost against
The sealant, yeah.
ceiling costs and see what.
Oh, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like they're saying you should do the sealant regardless, right?
The sealant for the next 3 years.
3 years, every
I'm,
year.
I'm interested in seeing what their warranty says.
Right.
Right, and I'll have to look for that.
Because that was never in the initial contract that would have to be.
Yeah, if they
sealed.
recommend that,
Right.
why wasn't it in the initial?
Yeah, it's fine.
So that way they can come out and fix the floor.
Yeah, well, Stephanie and I will get with Sports Court, figure out what's going
Well,
on.
you can ask them, what's the warranty if they go in through and seal it, because we may have to have somebody else do it, because if they're not gonna warranty it anyway, we don't wanna pay them any more money.
Right,
So,
makes sense. Okay.
That's just a little odd.
All right, on Tuesday, Craig walked into the boiler room and noticed that there was water all over the floor. He said it was the hot water, the on-demand recirculation pump. It was leaking. We had to call the plumber. Plumber came out today, fixed it, put, a bearing assembly on it. And it is going to cost us a little over $1,200, so $1,275 for the repair. But it could have been worse, is what I understood, that they didn't have to replace it, it was a repair instead.
Did they just have that thing inspected?
Yeah. Boilers were all just
That's
inspected.
hard to find good
Yeah.
help.
Is that the state
You got
inspector
Steve
that came
Wonder,
in?
construction crews, no, you
I
Steve
think
Wonder.
so, yeah.
The one that just showed up?
It just randomly showed up and then we did everything he asked us to, and then came back, and we got a clean bill of health, and then this happened.
Yeah,
Well, I
That's
mean, it's
been cleaned.
it's a machine, so.
yeah. They were good. And then on that note, Chris did find another leak in the water heater in the new gym. So he's waiting for it to dry out for them to go in and fix it tomorrow. They wanna make sure that they don't get electrocuted, which I understand. To make sure everything's at least still working, and then we'll have to have somebody come out and fix that as well.
Is that under warranty?
Yeah, is that under warranty?
I feel like it should be.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new building, so we'll
Less
have
than
to
a year
look into
old.
that
Yeah.
as well.
Not even.
And when did we get our certificate?
Our occupancy was, I think it was in November, December, early December. Yeah, I think it was early December, so it's less than a year,
Mhm.
so it should be under warranty.
Yeah, let's make sure we push those buttons before we get outside of that year.
Okay.
Yep, okay. Last but not least, the outdoor pool was winterized, all of that's good, and then the sprinklers were blown out and winterized. However, Will said he was there when the main valve broke at Falcon Park. They are going to cap it for now, and he said don't spend more than $1,800. So he's assuming it's gonna be about 1,000, but in total repairs next year, next spring, when they come out, it'll be about $5,000.
Is that fixing the sprinkler lines that were damaged because of the curb install?
As far as I know, they were just blowing out the sprinklers and the main valve just broke on them.
Yeah, but $5,000 total in repairs for the sprinkler system.
Yes.
That's for next year, once we turn the sprinklers back on.
Yeah. So we're waiting until we're actually ready to use the sprinklers.
Is that?
Okay.
Did we ever get the check?
Yes,
Did I
that
already-
is A&R.
Did I already ask that, the check from?
You didn't ask, but the answer is no, we still haven't been paid our $12,000 to fix MRV.
We're still pushing on that button, all right? Figure out.
So
And
if
we
you
also
pushed,
had-
the attorney pushed?
This week, Stratus IQ, Brent is out here boring.
For what?
Stratus IQ, wasn't that the boring company that's coming out to do the fiber?
Yes.
So they were out here and they were parked on the same area that we just spent $12,000 to fix. So Lil happened to be driving by, stopped by, talked to the contractor. Contractor's not very happy with us asking them to move some of their vehicles.
Yes.
We understand the boring machine needs to be there, but you don't need all your personal vehicles on our property. Get that there's an easement for you, but you don't need all of these other vehicles there, so, they did have a conversation, they did semi-fix the problem, so hopefully next year when we go to turn those sprinklers on again, we don't have more issues to fix. But since we just blew them out, there's no telling.
Did we document that so that we
Yeah.
have some kind of,
We have all the contact information.
Yeah, pictures,
And we took
big
pictures.
timestamps.
Yeah, because I believe you went out there too, right?
Greg and I drove
Yeah.
by and
Yeah.
took pictures as well.
Timestamp date and put them in a file folder and.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, when that hailstorm hit, for this roof, didn't they inspect all the other roofs and the only other roof was damaged was CCW?
That, I don't know.
That's what Jed had told me a long time ago. Did we file a claim for CCW?
I have not, this is the first I've heard that CCW had a roof issue.
So they came out, I thought it was, they came out and there wasn't enough hail damage. That's why
don't-
we got to pay for it.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just remember that there were two roofs that had hail damage. This one and CCW.
But not enough for a claim. They said you'd have to wait again. Jed didn't wanna wait anymore because he was afraid that the boards underneath, because we had already waited too long.
Well,
If we had
that and it
waited for
was-
another hailstorm,
That, and it was $200,000 cheaper than all the other bids we'd ever gotten for this roof.
yeah. So I don't think either roof was a claim.
We can reach out to Colorado Solar and Roofing, who did this one, because I believe they're the ones that did the inspection anyways, and find out if there's something that we need to do with CCW.
Well, we had it inspected when we had the roofs replaced under claims for your admin building, the building.
And that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Right. But I'm pretty sure recently, when Colorado Solar and Roofing is out here, they did another inspection. So we can reach out to them and ask if they looked at CCW.
I remember having that conversation with Jed
Okay. We'll find out.
right before
I
we
have
did
another
this.
I don't remember. Didn't I send a nastygram regarding this whole scenario?
With the sprinklers?
Yes.
Yes.
And we never got a response,
We still haven't gotten anything.
so we're gonna do anything about it?
Well, you're the attorney, what's the next step?
Sue them?
Do we want to sue for $12,000?
Small claims, right?
Not small claims, the county court. I mean, it's a low budget expense, but it's still,
Well, what would be the cost?
maybe 5,000.
For a $12,000.
So we'd still net 7,000 back of our money?
And usually, the standard rule is about 95% of cases settle. So it could be a second nastygram may achieve something.
Send a
With a
second
notice
letter.
that we're gonna file suit, except I don't bluff. If I'm going, I'm going.
Well, I mean, that's for the board to tell.
Give notice of intent, right? Intent to
I would
sue.
just send them a notice of intent to,
Yeah, I'm just letting you all know, when I do one of those, I will follow through.
that's okay, I'm gonna hold you to the $5,000.
But that's okay. No, that's fine. If we can do this with nasty grams, it's a lot
I
less.
would rather it be solved with a nasty grant.
Right, but if something is, we need to prod it, is what I'm trying to.
Yes.
I mean, do you guys agree? Letter of
Agree.
intent.
Letter of intent, I agree on.
And is it the county that we're suing?
No.
It's actually the contractor, isn't it?
The contractor is the responsible party.
I thought we sent the nasty gram to the county. Or we sent something to
We
the
talked to
county.
both.
We talked to both.
We talked to both.
Yeah.
We sent them both, neither one of them answered. They're pretending it didn't happen.
Well, the county had put them on hold for a while because they were destroying everything.
They're still on hold.
Between freaking painting people's driveways multicolors to,
Well, I think you're talking about the board. That's a different project.
The board
This
is
was the
terrible.
paving project of MRB.
oh,
Just chopped out
Right.
this tree,
Right.
just kept going.
old Gunick.
Algoonic.
Aren't they the ones doing that out on the Meridian right now?
Oh, no, it's
No.
a different company.
I think they're playing around.
They're using like 3 different companies, I swear, like every road you go down, it's a different one.
3 different paving companies over here.
Carter, is it the sprinkler system that they
Yes.
screwed up?
Yes.
Okay.
They broke
Just
all the
gotta track down
laterals.
my-
crushed it?
all right.
They crushed all the laterals down, Meridian Range Boulevard, which cost us over $12,000 to repair.
Yeah, 12,000 was a bit in my mind.
All right, we'll let you guys handle that.
What else you got, Sam?
That's it.
That's
That's
everything?
all. Do you have any questions? JD answer?
Okay, now watch these next two. Take notes.
Yeah, all right.
No, because JD takes just as long. Molly just zips through everything.
Oh, he said stuff's done, it works, thanks.
It was broken, it's offline, it's fixed, it's back ordered, we're good.
Not as simple as that.
Here it goes.
All right,
So
let's-
on next.
item 11, water report.
All right, so
Start the clock.
we have a couple things that have taken place in the district. Let's cover the main ones that we've gotten here. Filter plant 1 was offline for the new SCADA upgrades. Now we have it ready and it's ready to be put online along with the well sites that goes with it, which is well sites 5 and 6. And they are working together. And so we got one start of our overall beginning of our SCADA upgrades on the right track. They got all the parts and pieces, so we're gonna be moving on into other plants and facilities. On the 16th of October, transfer pump station went down with multiple failures. So multiple failures could also call it low pressure. That's a big concern because that handles about 50% of the upper zone of the district here. What we found is that the PLC in that cabinet had locked up the equipment, so it could not run or do anything. And also with the other equipment not running functionally, what I mean is that it doesn't know what to do, so pumps will come on and off cycle until it blows a fuse. And so that's what had happened. That was discovered after the on-call person was there because there was no alarms that were sent out. Yours truly was the one that found it. And came in and reset the SCADA system and the PLC. And then the next day I replaced the fuse because I needed somebody there to be the buddy system for that. And then after further troubleshooting there, the telemetry again went down on the 26th. Very same reasons as what it was before, but this time I called Ross Electric and we rewired some relays so that wouldn't happen again. Because of those relays that we took out, they were obsolete. They weren't really necessary with the current SCADA system as aged the 26th, the same day that that was going on, we had a hot fire hydrant that was hit by a red Dodge truck. The driver was fleeing the scene with a few witnesses chasing after the driver. The truck did not have a license plate when this was called into the El Paso County Sheriff or the State Patrol. But witnesses were pursuing the driver. The driver of the truck got hung up on the fire hydrant. So I sent some pictures to Troy. And the interesting part of the story, the reason why this driver was fleeing, because he had cut out a whole catalytic and muffler assembly out of a truck. Don't know what truck it came out of, but he had a rope tied to it, but when he hit the fire hydrant, oddly enough, it was thrown out the back of the bed of the truck, but the rope still attached to it, and he had dragged that thing throughout the Florida into the water district trying to flee from those that had seen what he did.
They just heard a bang.
So did they catch him?
No, I was looking for a
What?
disabled truck.
They didn't catch him?
No.
Even with a
I
rope?
have the muffler assembly in the back office if you'd like to see what it was. It was a very expensive one.
I better go home and start my truck.
Yeah.
This
You
one
don't
is
know what
probably
truck
out
it's
the
off
older
of, but
truck.
it's the one that doesn't run anymore.
So, needless to say, even though the fire hydrant is one of the ones that we've already insured, it still required $800 for the parts. We was able to make the repair the same day it was hit and put it back into service. We have the stolen catalytic converter / muffler assembly. It's about 6 foot length of pipe and material. And all the brackets were freshly cut with a hacksaw or whatever they were using to cut it. So it was a hacking to try to get out of there, but they lost their money. But I'm sure they lost their truck because all their fluids that was caused by the damage of hitting the fire hydrant was all over the entire neighborhood, including up into Meridian Ranch. And down, going down Eastonville and then back onto 24. And who knows how far that truck ever went into the Springs.
Darn,
So
that's too bad.
it's too bad. But it's an interesting and entertaining story, I think. That it had
Probably a
this year.
stolen truck, probably.
Yeah, and in most
Good
cases, what I was
possibility.
told by the state patrol officer at the time, because he said, well, we don't have much of a description about a red Dodge truck. And since there was no license plates, the smash and grab thieves would go and pull plates off the vehicle. And sometimes they'll put them back on, or sometimes if they're stolen, they just pull them off and drive the truck until they no longer can use it. So, that's what I was told. I don't know if that's true, but I'll let that be. You think the same way,
What's that?
what the officer had said?
Do pull plates off of another red Dodge truck.
Yeah. Somewhere even that. So they confirms my story. So as of the 21st of October, the amount of meters that the staff had put in was 1,951 meters. You can see in the Bentgrass Falcon Market, the place there, the developing stages. Now we have the Dutch Bros who are opening up for business there. There's no fire hydrants currently out of service. Our back tees were collected and they came back good, and there was no groundwater calls currently. And then those that already have got their meters replaced by placing their appointments, I appreciate that from the water staff. Wants to convey that, thanks for that, but those that have not, we are going door to door, hanging either the door tags with a list that we are going with ones that haven't, and either we replace them at that time or they can call in and make an appointment. But we're still doing the letters and email blasts. So if you have made your appointment, please schedule your appointment with the district. We really would appreciate if you do that.
Are we planning shut-offs?
We had done shut-offs,
I think he's talking about for meters.
For
oh,
non-meter upgrade.
excuse me, sorry, yes. We will resort to that as the last option.
At what date?
probably starting in December.
So we've been notified multiple times that Verizon is the biggest wireless provider out here, that they are decommissioning their CDMA network on December 31st. It will no longer exist. So
Great.
we have to really push hard to get these things done.
Yeah, I don't know who it was that came out with Raphael, but they actually found a valve that they couldn't close, so they replaced it. So I was very appreciative.
Now, I don't know if I want to mention about the main break that we had on the 28th.
That's not,
Yes.
that's not in this report. Save it for next month.
Next month.
I was gonna put on little floaties and jump in the water and go down the ditch for a ride.
Was it your house again?
No, it was above, just above. It's that transfer line that goes back.
Hey, did it water your landscape?
It watered my driveway really, really well.
No.
All the way down to CCW from my house in the
All
transfer
be,
station.
the
Wow.
details will be in next month's report.
Yeah, I'll let them save it for next one, but I will tell you this though, those guys, my wife, she had the door open, she was working on stuff, and she wakes me up out of bed and says, hey, you gotta come see this, there's a fire truck out front. I don't know what happened. So, get up, I go out there and there's a river, and I'm in a river, not a puddle, not a stream, a river in our front driveway, and it's actually about 3 inches thick, running through the entire cul-de-sac. But, I went out there and I looked at it, with the fire department, I looked up at the station, and somebody was walking around on that transfer station with a flashlight. They're like, hey, you gonna call somebody? And I said, nope, they're already there. So, I guess the call went out, the alarm went off at 10:02 or something like that, and they actually had somebody on site on location by 10:06, and had the water shut off by 10:10. So, unfortunately, there was so much of it that we could have put on floaties and made our own little river raft run.
Keep kayak on
Yeah.
Anytime it rains, just come down Fort Smith.
Yeah. So, but kudos to your guys getting out there so quick, getting it taken care of, so. And then, of course, the next day, JD's out there running the tractor, showing off.
it. Yep.
Like, look at my big boy.
And then there's Wally.
Yeah. I think Wally was asleep right there.
Yeah.
In there.
No, I mean, it's Wally's turn.
Water problem.
There's a turd in it, and call me.
All right, thanks, JD. Item 12, wastewater report.
All right, September DMR is complete, we passed our three-quarter wet test. So reviewing plans and meeting with engineers for developments in the district, including the sheriff's substation. The electrical plans for the headworks are submitted to RVD, which falls in their court. Once they approve the plans, we can push forward and get the head of the project done, which should still be done this year. Our 125 horse motor is coming from China, so they keep saying any day, any day. It's been that way for a month, so just still waiting on that. We're gonna place in a 4-inch diesel pump, and we're gonna ideate contracts. One thing about the new jetter truck, the nozzle it came with, was actually designed for much larger diameter pipe than what we have, so it wasn't cleaning very well. So got 2 new nozzles for it, and that pipe is clean as a whistle. So yeah, they're actually having fun using the equipment, you know, and getting some work done. So and budget, our skunk pump shouldn't be mixer, it's just a skunk pump. Actually got a water alarm on it, but it's been in place for 3 years. It's got to be rebuilt every 3 years, so it's bound to go in. Our mixed basin has a little mixer on it. We don't know what happened, but somehow it separated from its bracket, and when it fell, somehow the prop got into the shroud, and this thing basically just disintegrated. Unfortunately, a predecessor didn't feel the need to have spare parts on the shelf, so we didn't have one for that. So the only spare we had was a 4-horse, and we have really good mixing right now. But I got 2 new mixers ordered, because that basin's not going away, so. And then right after doing that, we lost an actual 4-horse mixer in one of the basins. Something we've had problems with is the cables getting wrapped up in these things, it's kind of a design flaw. So I've got new brackets on, and we just got that mixer back today, installed it, got the new bracket assemblies on there, and they're gonna work really good. So that, we're gonna go through next week, replace, put the hangers on all of them, that should end that problem. Gonna have that 105-acre property fully surveyed and staked, just so we have an idea of where everything is for the future. As long as we still got money left in the budget to do that this year. The last weekend, we actually lost a VFD at the Meridian Lift Station. Back when that lift station was designed, somebody put the same size VFD in as the motor, which for an electrician is a no-no. You always upsize them things. And the other side is VFDs don't like to be started and stopped, and one that failed has 21,000 hours on it, and the one that's working now has 23,000. Unfortunately, to replace what's now with Bradley, they don't know if they can get until 2024. So between the automation people, Ross Electric, everyone's looking to see if there's how these things are wired in with their Ethernet stuff, and see if we can't get some other brand. So we only have one pump working right now at the station until we can find a VFD for this thing. And given the size, they're hard to come by, so. And then earlier this week, in our solids holding, we had one of the 20-horse mixers failed. And that's where the one at the Capital Country Project is gonna come in, yank a piece of crap out of there. Began to us a cost savings thing the predecessor tried to do. That's the 5th time we've had to pull the motor out of these things. They just don't work. So our replacement, unfortunately, is sitting in the shop getting rebuilt from the last time. So.
Do you have ETA on it?
I'm hoping either by the end of next week or the next week after, we actually got 3 motors in at once to get worked on. So I called to make sure that one was a priority. But unfortunately, they're about $2,500 a pop to rebuild them, so again, things adding up to.
You can't do that.
Well, I can give it a try.
Get Troy's trolling motor off his new boat.
Given the cost, maybe we should buy a 150-horse Evinrude cover in.
I'm telling you, I just happen to have a 40-horse on my little 10 rig you can use over there.
Back that baby in.
Fit one of them's 13.
For something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Wally's planning on driving your boat around in that tank in circles for hours.
Never get him out of there. Brown trout fishing.
Yeah, he might catch something then.
Guaranteed to catch something.
Find some mudfish.
All right. Thanks, Wally. Item 13, items unfinished from previous meeting.
Stephanie, did you see how Wally did that?
What?
How long he took?
Yeah, so I need to learn from him.
Hey, this big kid will teach us some tricks.
Deal.
All right, I don't think we have anything.
I don't think so, I think it's all
We
next.
talked about the board follow-up on older items, item 14.
No, sorry, sister was calling.
None there, okay. Item 15, public comment regarding current board business not on the agenda.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is David Kamana. I'm the, I have to be on a podium.
No, fine.
I am the owner and chief instructor of Kenshin Martial Arts. Kenshin Martial Arts is not only a martial arts studio, but also an educational institution. We have a program with District 49 specifically to serve all the elementary, middle school, and high schools here. We pick up students from the school, and we not only provide homework assistance, we also provide the karate class. We teach them language, and we teach them STEM class, science class. All that included into an after-school program. In 2019, we've been blessed with being open since 2015. In 2021, actually, we bought a commercial land because of our massive growth. We started with 15 students. We have about 150 students right now between all of our programs. So in 2021, we bought the land here between Almery and Ranch and Almery Road and Old Chicago Road. And they used to sell their Christmas trees, that little corner spot right there next to the fire station. So we bought that land with the idea of building our own facility. The reason why I'm here. I wanted to put a name with a face as I am starting to have the process to request the opportunity to join the district to provide water for the facility. So just wanted to present myself so you guys know when eventually the package goes in, you know who we're talking to and have a name with a face. We're looking at 2 buildings together, 50 by 95, I believe so, each one. Right now, the building department wants us to do 2 taps instead of one inch each. To trade it has 2 facilities. Obviously, I understand that you guys are gonna have your own evaluation. You guys will determine exactly what will be the true need, but just wanted to give you an idea of what we're looking for. Top of the 2 taps, and we're looking for water and sewage. With that said, that's all I have. I really want to put a name on a face and present myself as we continue and start the process to submit the package for eventually, if you guys approve, being part of the district and have water and sewage for our facility.
Appreciate that. These gentlemen right here will all be the ones
Yes.
to work with.
I'll be the guy.
on that.
And I apologize in advance, I'm not a business person or that one. I am a veteran, I'm also active duty, so I still work full time. So my days are from 7 AM to 9 PM every day. So if I messed up on documentation, I apologize in advance. I'm learning the process as we speak, so.
Fantastic. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for your
Look forward to
service.
it.
You guys appreciate it. Looking forward to what we're doing in this.
Thanks for being patient.
I'm learning, like I said, so it's a good thing. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Yes, that's me.
Is it gonna be inclusion of the contract?
Are you guys doing an inclusion or?
Yeah.
I would like to be, you guys in charge.
Yeah, we were, keep learning a lot on many projects, so.
If you see on the building department, the name Falcon Karate or Kenshin Martial Arts is both the same, is how they treat it, so it's us on the building department.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, unfortunately, now we're gonna kick you out.
See, you waited all this
That
time.
was
Oh,
nice.
this hey, 2 minutes of glory, that's good. But thank you so much, guys, I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right, I will motion we enter executive session after 5-minute break. Position road matters that may be subject to negotiations under CRS 24/6/40240, namely matters related to the Circle K inclusion, Falcon Highlands Metro District Water Operations Agreement, Golf Course Water Agreement, D49 Bus Barn Agreement, Grandview IGA, the Aspen View Homes
That's it?
Agreement, the DHI Communities, Paintbrush Hills Metropolitan District Arbitration Hearing, and Woodland Hills Metropolitan District Director Evaluation Salary Review.
And service plan.
And the service plan. Did I get all that?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Me.
All right. Second is Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Somebody's gonna
Now
think
executive
that is-
session.